Okay, we're going to look at personality development, but actually Freud believed that you developed your personality through psychosexual stages. He believed that the childhood stages of development during which the id's pleasure-seeking energies focused on distinct erogenous zones. So what is an id? If you remember back to consciousness, we talked about the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. Well, when it comes to psychosexual stages, or personality actually stages, he talks about the ego, the superego, and the id. We'll talk more about that when we talk about personality, but for the id is actually the same level as the unconscious. It is those deep unconscious pleasure-seeking needs. It avoids pain. It avoids displeasurable things. It only likes pleasure. Basically, it's what you really, really want. He says the id is the first thing to develop. And if you think about it, do children really think about right or wrong when they're infants? No, they just want what they want when they want it. They want to be fed, and they want to be fed now. Or they want their diaper changed. Are they okay with being patient and waiting for mom to have time? No, they want it now. And whatever they want it now. So this is basically the id. So Freud believed that we all have a libido, and your libido really is what he considers to be your sexual drive. And he also stated that our libido travels to different areas of our body throughout our development. So it doesn't just stay in one place. It does, if you go through the stages effectively, it does settle in your genital area, but before then it has traveled around a bit. He also believed that if you did not manage to develop successfully, you might become preoccupied with any one of the areas. When you became preoccupied, he considered you to be fixated on it. We will talk more about that throughout this lecture. But together, basically, Freud called these stages our psychosexual stages of development. So let's get started with, this is just an overview, and you can see it goes through by age. Oral stage is 0 to 18 months, anal stage is 18 to 36 months, and phallic stage is 3 to 6 years, latency 6 to puberty, and then you finally end up at the genital stage, puberty on. So let's go to each one of these individually. Starting with our oral stage. Again, if you remember back to sensation and perception, and the very beginning of this human development, we talked about cognitive development. We learn about the world through our mouths or through our sensations. So Freud believed that you were seeking pleasure through your mouth. He believes, because babies put everything in their mouth from 0 to 2, that this was where your sexual pleasure was also gained. He believed that people fixated in this stage, though, tend to overeat, smoke, or have a childhood dependency on things. So think about this, the people, maybe it is you, who like to put things in their mouth. Maybe it is chewing on fingernails, chewing on your pencil or the ends of your pens. These people he would consider to be orally fixated. They like to put things in their mouth all the time. The next stage, though, is anal stage. This develops, of course, during toilet training, and he believed that your libido is focused on controlling waste and expelling waste. So a person fixated, though, in this may become overly controlling, which we would call anal retentive, or out of control, anal expulsive. Now, you probably are familiar with the term anal retentive or anal retention. Again, this is about, or people nickname it, oh, you're being so anal. It is basically that you are being controlling, right? We don't use the expulsive very often in our everyday lingo, but it is basically somebody who is explosive. So somebody who has an easy hair trigger that they may just go off at anything. This person would be considered to also be stuck in the anal stage. But let's say you made it through, putting everything in your mouth, and then you made it through potty training perfectly good, and you're not stuck, okay? You would move on now to what he called the phallic stage. Children really are starting to recognize their gender between 4 and 7. There is a great clip in the movie Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he is a kindergarten teacher, or he's actually a substitute teacher. He's working undercover as a cop. But he has this little 5-year-old kid raise his hand in the middle of the class and announce, boys have penises, girls have vaginas. And of course, Schwarzenegger doesn't quite know what to do with that announcement. But the truth is, little girls and little boys do start recognizing that they are different from each other. Now, according to Freud, and this is where his theories get a little rough and a little weird, so just bear with us, it can cause conflict in families with what he called the Oedipus and Electra complexes, which those are Greek mythology. But basically, to just summarize it, it is that you wanted to have sex with your opposite sex parent and kill off your same-sex parent. Now, why don't you remember that? Because you have repressed that memory deep into your unconscious, according to Freud. So, I will just tell you, really, most psychologists really blow off that part of his theory. However, he was onto something in a roundabout way. Fixation, he said, in this area can cause later problems in relationships. So let's think about that. Not that you wanted to have sex with your opposite sex parent, but let's say, girls, let's say you have a great relationship with your dad and you would even consider yourself, I'm a daddy's girl. Well, what happens if you get into a significant relationship or a marriage and your dad and what he says and what he wants you to do takes precedence over what your spouse or your significant other wants to do? Would that cause a rift? Yeah, it probably would. Let's switch it up though. How about boys? You know what? Boys and moms usually have a very special kind of relationship. A lot of times we do tend to be a little bit more competitive with the same-sex parent, but the opposite sex parent, for whatever reason, we end up sometimes having a different connection with. And so let's say, boys, you consider you are a little bit of a mama's boy. Again, there's nothing wrong with that while growing up, but you get into a significant relationship later on. What happens if mom starts running your house instead of your spouse? Could that be a problem? Absolutely. I'll just tell you right now, that would be a problem. So he was onto something when he talked about fixation at this stage. But let's say you have not fixated and you're moving on, and guess what? School has begun. You are now in the latency stage. According to Freud, during the stage, libido is hidden, so about ages 7 to 11. I like calling this the cootie stage, because girls and boys both have cooties, and we're not interested at all in the opposite sex. Now, I know some of you are like Casanovas, and some of you have been boy crazy since day one, and never stopped. But for the most part, if you watch out on the playground of an elementary school, boys and girls don't play a lot together because they think each other have cooties. My favorite in this picture is the fact that the girl is about 2 feet taller, which is also pretty normal for that age. Freud believed that fixation in this stage could lead to sexual issues. That sexual issue would basically be that you would not be interested in sex at all. But let's say you made it through this, and guess what? You hit 6th grade-ish, and you turned 12. And at some point during your 6th grade, 7th grade year, you started noticing other people. This is the genital stage. Libido is focused on their genitals from 12 until death. And Freud thought fixation in this stage would be completely normal. Okay, so that is it for psychosexual stages. Again, we will talk much more about personality and more about Freud in upcoming chapters. But this was basically human development as a whole. And if you are more interested in human development, you can take just a whole semester class on it. It's super interesting. If you are interested in just specific parts of human development, maybe childhood development, in four-year colleges, they actually have specialty classes in just those. So I urge you, if you are interested in this field, go ahead and start taking some more classes and find out more about it. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.